Hi, baby. You're sweet. I'm just gonna go for it. Hi, and welcome to Tall Turtle Knits. My name is Stephanie, and this is my brand new knitting podcast. I am a 30-something plus-size queer creator living in Southern Ontario with my cat, who is just right here, Pretzel, my partner, and my dog Charlie. Pretzel is currently in a cone and feeling a little bit extra pathetic, so she will be popping her head in and out as I record, but just don't mind her. She's usually a pretty quiet cat. I decided to start a knitting podcast because I was looking for some more plus-size representation in this field, I guess. I love all of the knitting podcasters that I watch, but most of them are straight-sized. And although I appreciate that a lot of people are really pushing towards only using size-inclusive patterns, sometimes I actually want to see the size-inclusive sizes, if that makes sense. And rather than just kind of complain about it to myself and with my friends, I figured I would try and be part of the solution. I have thought about doing it for about a year on and off and kind of decided to just go for it as part of like a New Year's resolution, I guess. Hopefully I don't touch my face too much, but Miss Pretzel here is shedding like crazy, so if I am, it's just cat hair. Unfortunately, that is part of my life these days. And in case you were curious, this is what little Miss Pretzel looks like. This was a Christmas gift from my partner, a little pop socket of her face, so I can always keep her with me. Anyways, so I decided to name my podcast Tall Turtle Knits because I am a 6 foot tall person. I think that's about 182 centimeters, and frequently find that the length of garments is not sufficient. So I haven't knit a lot of garments. This top and I think one other one were the first garments that I knit this year and in general. But I did find that I had to extend the length on both of them pretty significantly. So yeah, that's tall. Turtle, they are one of my favorite animals. I think they're really cute. The one on my mind is like a painted turtle, specifically, if you're curious. And one day I have grand hopes of creating my own logo and like icons and stuff to all be cute little turtles. And it seemed like something achievable for me to be able to design myself. But I also am a little bit of a slow knitter. I don't think I'm as slow of a knitter as I think I used to think I was, if that makes sense. But I think that I have just either not had or not prioritized the time the same way that some people do in the past. I work full-time in an office, so I don't really have the ability to knit during meetings or anything like that. And during the busier times of work, I am working 60 plus hour weeks and definitely just don't feel like knitting. However, this year I really wanted to make it a priority to knit. It is something that I really enjoy, and I have ADHD and have in the past really struggled with feeling the need to be productive. So knitting is something that kind of allows me to do something I enjoy that's still productive and is also a fidget in a way. So yeah, anyways, so that's turtle, and then knits I think is kind of obvious, but a although one day maybe I will be able to figure out how to crochet. So far that has not been the case. My left hand is useless, and I'm sure that there are ways to tension your yarn, different ways to tension your yarn to crochet. The ways that I found, or like the tutorials that I found, always required your left hand, and I just don't have it. I knit English style, so my left hand really is not involved. I am trying to learn continental, at least to be able to knit color work, because I know a lot of people use both hands to do color work. You use your left hand to do continental, and then your right hand to do English, I believe. And I have really gotten into color work this year, at the end of this year, and really enjoyed it. But I was not, I was not doing that technique. So anyways, so that's me, that's Tall Turtle Knits. As for my knitting journey, if you want to call it that, I would call myself a brave or confident beginner. I don't know a lot of techniques just from reading them. Like I can't look at a pattern and be like, oh, I know how to do that. Other than very basic things, but I just kind of go for it anyways. I still look up a lot of techniques. One day, hopefully, I will memorize what an M1R and M1L are, but so far I still have to look it up every time, and I'm still not 100% confident I do them right every time. But I just kind of go for it. If I see a pattern that I am really excited about, I am gonna figure it out, and that's kind of my strategy. So my very first experience with knitting was actually back in 7th or 8th grade, which would have been 2004 or 5. We're really aging myself. And they, one of the teachers created a knitting club, and it was during recess, and it started in the winter. And so my friend and I joined because we did not want to have to go outside in the winter. We wanted to sit inside. I was never super good at it. I'm pretty sure that the teacher casted on the project for us, and I have vague memories of just being really frustrated because I kept doing accidental yarn overs or like dropping stitches, and I eventually got to the end of whatever the swatch that I was doing, and I couldn't figure the bind off. So after that year, I never really knit again until I think like 15 years later. Does that math work? Around COVID. I don't remember if I was given it or if I just like went to Michael's and I was like, I knew how to do this once, I'm gonna do it again. And I bought a cake of like self-striping or color changing yarn, and I just said, I'm gonna make a scarf. It ended up being almost as tall as me and like too thick. It's like too thick to wear comfortably, but not thick enough to fold in half. And I ended up giving it to my mom. And to be honest with you, I don't think she's ever worn it, which is fine. But I finished it and I was like, well, I know how to knit now, so I'm just gonna go for it. So I went to Michael's and I bought a bunch of, I think it, like Loops and Threads is the brand, but I think it was called Charisma at the time. I'm not sure if it's still called that. In 3 different colors, in like a purple, an off-white, and gray. Sorry, pretzels moved around. I'll put a picture in so you can see the blanket. It took me a while, but I wasn't using Ravelry to track my projects at the time, so I'm not really certain how long it took. I did a lot of it over the Christmas break, so I had a lot of time. So it probably took me less time than maybe it would have otherwise, but I didn't really know how to read my stitches. So like, although the pattern was very simple, and I don't remember specifically what it was, but it's like, you know, like a 3x1 rib type thing, or maybe 3x2 with the, anyways, somebody who is really good at reading stitches could probably zoom in on the picture and figure it out. But at the time I couldn't. So it was I had to be very on it. So it probably took a while, but I finished it and I was so excited about having this like finished blanket that I made myself. It became the couch blanket, and that kind of kicked things off. But I am not really, I was not doing a lot of projects in a year. It was just kind of something that, like, if I was bored, I could go back to. If somebody wanted something, I could feel really like I think I made a beanie for a friend's daughter because she was like, oh my god, you can knit. And that was kind of for a couple of years. And then I knit, I'll include pictures of all of these random projects that I'm talking about. I am going to do a, like everything I knit in 2025 video, which will include obviously all of the projects that I knit this past year, but most of which I still have in my possession or like in my partner's possession. But for some of these older projects or like random things I reference, I'll just pop a picture up. And I don't have all of the, like, I'll post the picture with the name of the pattern and everything will be included down below, including my Ravelry link, which once I started using it, you'll be able to see any like notes I made about it. But I only wrote down in my notes the 3 specific patterns, like the shirt that I'm wearing and my 2 whips. Anyways, I'm rambling. So, I want to say 2020, what year are we in? I want to say 22 or 23. I got it in my head that I was going to make these 2 huge cabled blankets, one for my grandparents, one for my best friend. And it was, let me tell you, didn't happen. I finished one and it took me almost the entire year. And I really, it kind of killed my knitting mojo for a minute. And afterwards I saw, like on Reddit or something, people talking about how when you work on a project that's a single color for a really long time, that can also cause boredom because it's also just one color, which maybe is the case. But I finished one of these cabled blankets and I was like, I am never doing this again. It took so long. I didn't work on really any other projects for that whole year, and I just did not like knitting at that time, like finishing that. But thankfully, I took a break and kind of went through all of the yarn that I had and just reassessed. And coming into 2025, what baby? Coming into 2025, I really wanted to prioritize knitting again, because like I said, it is something that I enjoy, but I wanted to make sure that I was knitting projects that I wanted to knit. So most of my 90%, I'm gonna say, guessing, of my projects for this past year were selfish. They were for myself or for my partner, but like for the home. Like this blanket right here, some other home accessories, that kind of thing. I really just wanted to reconnect with
knitting. And part of that is this channel. I had thought about doing it. I thought about it doing all year, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, or I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I kept being like, no, I need a better camera. No, I need better lighting. No, I'm not that good of a knitter. I don't knit that many projects. I'm slow. Excuses. And also I don't love looking at myself on camera. And I say a lot. Sorry. I'm trying to stop. Maybe I'll try and crop them out. But anyways. So I spent the whole year, and my goal was to knit one project a month. Which I think that I succeeded in. I'm pretty sure I finished 14 maybe. I'll have to count. You can see in my next video. But, and then for this channel, I said, I'm just gonna go for it. So this is just my phone. I got a tripod for Christmas. I am doing my best to take advantage of the 5 minutes of natural light I get at this time of year. And I'm just gonna go for it. So hopefully I stop rambling all the time. Hopefully this isn't as rambly as it feels like it is when I actually edit it. But we'll find out. Where did I start when I started rambling? What was I talking about? Who knows? So anyways, about the podcast, my plan is to do one podcast episode per month, and then one other video per month, assuming that I can come up with enough ideas and stuff. January, I think, is going to be pretty simple because I have this like little intro, hi, nice to meet you, and I will be doing an everything I knit in 2025. I didn't knit very many garments, so I think that my video will be pretty different than most podcasters' everything they knit. Most of my projects have been accessories and stuff like that, which I'm still proud of, for the record. But yeah, so hopefully that is the plan. As for the podcast format, I think it's become pretty standard. Finished objects, whips, and then acquisitions. Acquisitions is going to be kind of a tough one for me. I don't purchase a lot of new yarn. I am not a person who has a big stash. When I first started knitting, I really went ham on purchasing like random yarns, but I didn't have a very good idea on like gauge or yarn weights or like color theory or, you know, like the quantities of yarn that are required to be able to accomplish projects. And so I just kind of bought like single or maybe 2 skeins of whatever looked pretty on whatever website, and then I didn't know what to do with it. I kind of equate it to people who have ingredient households, if you've ever heard of that, where like somebody who like can look in their cupboard and say they have all of these ingredients, and from those ingredients they can make, I don't know, lasagna, chili, something like that. I can't do that. I can't do that with food, and I can't do that with yarn. So with the exception of things like sock yarns, which because I have discovered that I really enjoy knitting socks, and I've really gotten into color work at the end of this past year, I have started to purchase different colors of varying sock yarns for those kinds of things. Other than that, I really only purchase yarn as I have a project plan for it. So yeah, I don't know about the acquisitions. We'll see, because who knows, you know, maybe something will go on sale in a month and I'll end up buying it, and then I'll have something to share. If not, though, I think that my plan is to do like a media I've been enjoying segment type of thing. So like books I've been reading, any TV shows that I've watched, podcasts, you know, who knows. It is a goal of mine to read more.
next year. I really fell off this past year. I consume books mostly through audiobooks because I listen to them while I'm driving because I have a commute. I listen to them while I'm knitting and at work. But for some reason this year, I just really fell off. And so I want to get back into that, and I'm trying to specifically diversify the authors that I'm reading. I am very habitual in that I find something that I like and I don't stray from it. I don't know if I just went cross-eyed looking at a hair. Hopefully not. Well, I guess I'll find out in the recording. Anyways, so I am trying to diversify my authors as well. But I have to also, marry that with I'm not purchasing books. I want to be able to borrow them from either my local library or like one of the online like ebook library type things. But I have seen people do like one book from an author from every country, and I think that's really cool. So I'm looking into something like that. If you have any suggestions, or like if you've seen anything similar, or like other types of lists, or if you even have any specific author suggestions, I would love to hear them. I am, generally speaking, my go-to genre is like thriller, crime, but like more on the thriller or like suspense type side of it. But I will read almost anything. I do not love romance, but I am okay with a romance arc. But yeah, so I think that will be my substitution for an acquisitions section, unless I have acquisitions, and then maybe you get to hear both. Super exciting. So with all of that rambling out of the way, I guess let's talk about projects, finally. I don't really know how most people do finished objects in their first podcast, because like finished objects from when? My most recent finished object? I don't have any more. It was a gift, and it'll be in the next video. So I'm just gonna go with the shirt that I'm wearing. This will be the finished object for this video. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but this is the Tolsta tee by Rebecca Clow, or the Crab Bear. If I look over here, that's just where my notes are. So I want to try to make sure that I don't miss anything that's important. It is a raglan style t-shirt. It is super, super customizable. The stripe pattern, I came up with myself. I wanted it to be kind of like a fade. And so I literally just did stripes in like Excel or something and tried to line them up the way that I thought would make sense. Super happy with it. Other than the very bottom stripe, I feel like maybe I could have omitted, but I think it looks cute, and it was my first ever garment, so I'm very proud of it. I did actually knit it twice. The first time, I'll insert a picture here. The first time that I knit it, you can see that the neckline was super wide. I don't know if that was a personal preference thing, or if it, like, if I did something incorrectly, but I have heard some people say that about this pattern, that the neckline is really wide, which I think I may use again in the future. But as you can see, even in this, I tend to wear tank tops underneath all of my shirts, and you can see the whole thing, which just wasn't really the vibe that I was looking for. As well, you can see that I had tried to do some extra increases around my hips, and I don't think I spaced them out right, because they kind of turned into weird wings on my hips, which was really not the vibe I was looking for. So unfortunately, I made the decision to completely frog it and redo it. That was tough. It was the first garment I knit, like I said, and it took me about a month, I think. I started in the middle
of April and I finished at the end of May. And it was something that I worked on while I was moving. So like it was kind of like a stress buster project that turned out to be more stressful in the end. However, I knew I was never going to wear it, and I don't want to just keep something just because I worked on it for a long time. So I made the decision, frogged it, and re-knit it. So this one I cast on, oh, I didn't write down the date, but I worked on it for another month and I took it on vacation with me. And so I think I knit the vast majority of this shirt in the week that I was away, because I would just work for hours at a time on it in front of the water. But so it is knit in Knit Picks Cotlin, which is a 70% cotton, 30% linen blend in the colors silver, and the greeny teal color is called Shoal. I used about 11 skeins total. That's a little bit because of the frogging process. Some of it I just didn't frog, like the initial collar ribbing. I don't think I bothered tearing out. Where there was a few knots, I just kind of, I wanted it to be simple. So, but 11 skeins total for me. And that was for size, I made size 9D. However, that was because my gauge was significantly off of the pattern. So my gauge was 19.5 stitches by 27.5 rows versus Rebecca's gauge of 17 stitches and 27 rows. So, and that was after me finagling it. I made like, I think 3 or 4 swatches, and just, I could not match her gauge and still have a fabric that I was happy with. So I ultimately did the math. I like sat down and was like, okay, so if she has, probably made it more complicated than it needed to be. So I think that my desired size based on the measurements was actually the 6. But because of my gauge, I went up to a 9. And it works out well. I'm very happy with the fit. The only mod I made on, it's not the only mod, but the biggest mod I made is the collar. So this collar, I actually cast on, I believe it was size 7 count. It was, I cast on 112 stitches instead of whatever it said to in the pattern for my size, and then just did extra increases in order to bring it up to the stitch count that I needed to be for my size after I did this, the ribbing for the collar, because I just didn't want that super wide neckline. And then I also increased the length. I'm not sure what the length for the body was. It ultimately is still shorter than I would prefer it to be, which I'm a little bit bummed about because I feel like I measured it so many times. However, the sleeves I also increased the length of. In the pattern, I'm pretty sure you only knit like it's like just barely a sleeve underneath, but every time you raised your arm, there was nothing there. So I decided to make it a little bit longer, and ultimately I just tried to do my best to match the stripe pattern and end at a point that made sense for that. So yeah, that was my Tolsta tee, cotton linen blend. The yarn, I like, it's soft. I didn't have too much of a hard time knitting with it. It is a little bit annoying in that it holds, and I don't know if it's just me, like it's a little bit wrinkly because it's been in the closet for a while. But like, you know, if I kind of pull on it, then you can see. So that's a little bit irritating. I don't really know if that's a fabric, like just the fabric that it made, or if it's the yarn. But yeah, really happy with it. I haven't worn it that much because I finished it right at the end of the summer. Like I finished it at the end of August. And I'm just not really a t-shirt girly. As soon as it's cold enough to wear a hoodie, I'm wearing a hoodie. So, but yeah, this is my first ever garment, or second technically, because I did it twice. And I am really happy with it. I would definitely knit it again. The pattern is super customizable, like I said, and very well written. I really have enjoyed Rebecca's patterns. So yeah, that is the Tolsta tee, and my only finished object for this video. So whips, I guess. I'm a little bit nervous to take my whips out because Pretzel is sitting here and is shedding all over me, and I don't want to have any extra cat hair put in them, but she's too cute to kick off. So my first whip is this. It is the Kitten Catch Mittens by Florence Miller. It is a all over colorwork mitten. Has the cute kittens on the front, as you can see, and the thing that really got me about this pattern was this thumb. I saw the thumb and I was like, I am casting those on right now. This was my first colorwork wearable. As you'll see in my video, my next video, I made stockings this year that were all colorwork, but obviously you don't need to be able to fit in those, and so tension isn't really as important. But I'm really proud of these, and it was the first time that I've really tried to pay attention to color dominance, which I think I did okay. I have to knit the second one, and hopefully it turns out the same. I don't accidentally change which one is dominant. But yeah, I am so proud of this. I learned how to do a Latvian braid, which is like something that is not as complicated as I thought it was going to be. And I think it blocked out really nice. I have big hands, so I was nervous it was not going to fit, especially because the cuff is tight, I think, with the braids. But it fits okay. I would love like just a tiny bit more height, but it's not uncomfortable. And yeah, so this is knit in Knit Picks palette, which Knit Picks palette, these two colors. So this is called Pennyroyal and this is called Cayenne. This, I'm not sure if you can tell. Yeah, it picks up pretty decently. It's a very light lavender color, which I did know, but it still picks up very gray, I think, and it had the best contrast with the orange, which I wanted to use specifically because my little kitten here is a ginger. So I made the decision to go for it anyways. This is the second mitten. I'm trying to cover my face so it maybe focuses a little bit better, but we'll see. And I think it picks up pretty gray. It looks gray, especially in contrast to the orange. And it was the best contrast color that I had. So yeah, super cute pattern. I'm really proud of it. I think it is adorable. I finished the first mitten in about a week. I started it, did I write it down? I started December 12th and it was blocking on December 19th. So that's exactly a week. It is supposed to be my like travel project because it's small. And so since it's the holidays and I haven't really been traveling, I haven't really done any work on the second one other than the cuff. Plus I've been focused on the second project, which you'll see in a second. But I am hoping to have them done by the middle of January. I'd still like to be able to wear them in the winter. They're super warm and they're cute. I'd like to show them off. Did I miss anything else? Oh, the Knit Picks palette is 100%, I believe, Highland wool. It is super warm. I wouldn't call it soft by any means, but it's definitely not scratchy. And it's really warm. And they come in so many colors. Knit Picks palette has so many colors. It's what I use to start stocking up my fingering weight sock yarn stash. So yeah, that's that. So my second and final, I guess, whip for this podcast is this guy. This is my Granny Cardigan by Joji Locatelli. I'm just going to say it like that, and if I am saying it correctly, please correct me. I tried to find other people saying it, and I couldn't at this moment, of course. So anyways, it is an all-over cabled cardigan, and I am obsessed with it. So I'm going to just spread it out here and hopefully not anger Pretzel too much. So this is the back. Like, oh my goodness, isn't it gorgeous? I'm obsessed. And then the front, look, it's the same. But Pretzel, please do not claw at the yarn. It is not a toy. Anyways, this is my magnum opus project because it is just such a huge undertaking. It started in the summer. I decided that I wanted an all-over textured cardigan, and the original pattern that I had in my queue was the Book Club cardigan by Sari Nordland. And I had even gone as far as to find like people making mods because there was some discussion about the way that the shoulder seam pattern changed. Anyways, I didn't buy the yarn yet because I was waiting on some cash. And once I got that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do one more look around Ravelry. I'm just going to see if I can find anything else. And I spotted this pattern. And it immediately replaced what I wanted to make. So I had to do some research and some thinking because in the pattern, I believe she has it as a DK weight plus lace pattern, and this is a worsted plus lace. So I was like, I don't know if that's gonna work. My gauge never matches the patterns that I've knit. But I just decided to go for it. So I'm gonna hold it up close. Actually, I'm just gonna put it away because I have my swatch here. So I'm gonna hold the swatch up close because that I don't mind if Mitt's Pretzel gets to. So this, just to kind of show off the speckles and the stretch. But anyways, I decided that I wanted to do the cardigan in a neutral, but not just plain neutral because I would never wear that. So the main yarn is Cascade 220 in beige, and I went with 220 because I've heard good things about it. It feels nice, and it is considered, I believe, a budget yarn, which was shocking to me because I had to purchase 10 skeins of the 220, which cost me about $150. Which, anyways, all the power to people who can buy sweater quantities of hand-dyed or indie-dyed yarns, but man, it's not in the cards for me. So anyways, Cascade 220 in beige, and then this ball is almost gone, but Rico, what is it called? Rico Design Make It Tweed in rainbow. So this ball's almost gone, as you can see. When these two balls that I just showed you are gone, I am halfway through the yarn that I purchased for this project, which makes me a little bit nervous. I'm very nervous about yarn shrink with this project because one of the balls of 220 is already a different dye lot than the rest of them. I ordered from I ordered from a local yarn store, and she looked everywhere but could not get all 10 in the same dye lot. So the 10th, she did show me, we looked at them, and they look very, very similar. So I'm hoping that they won't make a difference anyways. Plus you add in the tweed. I'm hoping that you can't tell. However, my thought was that I was going to use that different dye lot as the button band. However, the button band is finished last, and I am just not, I'm so nervous. I'm very nervous about the length of this cardigan. So right now I'm about to be halfway through the yarn. And my plan is once these balls are finished, I'm going to switch over to the sleeves, because I think that being able to try on the cardigan with the sleeves will help me get a better idea of the fit. Right now, the pattern calls to go about, I think, 14 inches from the underarm to the ribbing. Right now I'm at about 9, and it feels like a cropped length. So I'm hoping that the extra 4 or 5 inches is going to get me where I need to be. However, I always have to lengthen cardigans, and I do want this to hit. I just definitely don't want it to be cropped. I want it to hit me pretty low. So that's the plan, is once these two, like this ball and the tweed is finished, I'm going to switch over to the sleeves, which I'm also hoping will work out pretty quick, and try and get at least one sleeve at least halfway done, because I'm also expecting to have to lengthen the sleeves, which I'm more nervous about because of decreases in the sleeves. So I think that's going to require some math. However, I'm hoping that I get at least one sleeve at least halfway done. I'll be able to get a better fit or a better feel on how it fits and where it sits. And then I can kind of gauge if I'm going to need more yarn. I'm nervous, but hopefully, I don't need any more yarn. And yeah, this pattern, I am knitting size 7. My gauge was almost on par with the pattern. I got 20 stitches and 31 rows. The pattern is 19.5 stitches and 30 rows. I'm feeling like that's pretty, and maybe even once I block it, it's like a full cardigan and not just a swatch, it might get me that extra tiny bit. So I am knitting a size 7, which I believe was the exact recommended for my measurements, but I may have gone one up in order to get the positive ease it suggests, but I don't remember. I started this project October 1st, so it's been October, November, December, 3 months. Not working super diligently on it now. The rows right now are long. Tedious, I should say. I am not confident enough in my tension to do the cables without a cable needle, which means every right side row, the diamond has a cable, and every I don't know, 6-ish right side rows, every cable has a cable. And that every cable row, I believe when I timed it, took me at least 20 minutes to do. So I have been joking since I started that my goal timeline for the project was to finish it by my birthday, which is the end of September in 2026, which would mean almost a full year of working on it. I am making more progress faster than I thought I would on it. So I'm hoping to be able to finish it maybe by the spring, so that I can at least wear it before it gets too hot. But we'll see. I don't want to get my hopes up too high. I don't know. I'm so conflicted about it. I'm so excited about it and I really want to have it to wear, but I obviously don't want to like rush through it or end up shortening it more than I want, because then what's the point of doing all the work? You know, I want to just make sure I get it done the way I want it done, basically. I don't know. Cascade 220, in case you didn't know, is 100%, I believe, Highland wool. The Rico Tweed is a mixture of rayon, acrylic, and nylon. And it's just, I mean, I call it a lace weight. I think it's technically a lace weight, but it doesn't even have, like, it doesn't have a dye lot or anything on it. So yeah, it's basically just thread. I think that's it. Do I have anything else to tell you about? I mean, since it's right here, I will tell you about my cute little notions bag. I got this from work in my work Secret Santa. I didn't realize when I asked for it that these flowers are not actually Stardew Valley flowers. They're just random. I mean, I guess they might be weeds. Like these two might be weeds. But they're not flowers, which is okay. But it's my Stardew inspired pouch. And it keeps all of my notions in it. So that's my acquisition, I guess, for this very first video. If you made it all the way here to the end, thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe and stick around to see what else I come up with. Get to see my cardigan all finished, get to see my second mitten, and all of the other things that I end up knitting in the future. If you have any ideas, suggestions for me of things to put in the background, ideally temporary because this is our living room, so I don't want to put like a million. Anyways, if you have any suggestions for decor ideas, for podcast or like other video ideas, book suggestions, author suggestions, I would love to hear from you. I am super excited about starting this channel, and I hope that we can have a good dialogue. Like, I hope I get to meet some new friends, people, and have some good knitting related chats. All of the patterns I mentioned will be listed down below, as well as my Ravelry. I don't currently have an Instagram. Maybe between filming this right now and uploading it, I will create one. Instagram's never been my thing. But anyways, if I do end up making one, it will also be listed down below. Go and check me out over there. And I think that's it. So yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. And it was so great to meet you.